All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're mapping out a super clear step-by-step guide for anyone who wants to break into the tech industry. And we're talking about a career in quality assurance, or QA for short. So think of this as your personal roadmap to getting that first tech job. Let's do this. Maybe you've been searching for a role in tech that just makes sense. A path where you can build your skills one piece at a time without necessarily needing a fancy computer science degree right out of the gate. If that's you, then you're in exactly the right place. We're about to lay out that path for you.
So, here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with why QA is such a great way into tech. Then we'll get into the foundational stuff you just gotta know. After that, we'll build your toolkit, level you up with automation, which is key, get you totally job ready, and then take a peek at your future career path.
Okay, first things first, let's set the stage a little. What makes quality assurance such a fantastic entry point into the whole tech world?
Before you touch a single tool, or write a line of code, or even start hunting for bugs, you have to get the main ideas down. Seriously, it's like learning the rules of a game before you try to play. This is the most important first step, and honestly, nailing this is what separates the pros from everyone else. Now that we're all on the same page, it's time to pour the concrete. This next part is all about the core concepts you're going to lean on every single day. First up, the SDLC. Just think of this as the big picture. It's the entire A to Z process that every software team uses, from a random idea scribbled on a napkin all the way to launching it and keeping it running. QA doesn't live on some deserted island. It's a huge part of this whole ecosystem.
And nestled right inside that big picture is the STLC. Now, this is your world. This is the structured, organized process for all things testing. Planning, designing tests, running them, and reporting back what you found. Understanding this cycle is what makes your work professional and, actually effective. And if you want to talk the talk, you've got to know this lingo. We're talking about the different levels of testing, like are we just checking one tiny piece of code or the whole system working together? Then you have the types. You can think of it as, does this button work, versus what happens if a million people click this button at once? And it's really important to know the difference between the overall process of assuring quality versus just the simple act of finding bugs. Getting these ideas down is absolutely fundamental.
All right, enough theory. It's time to get practical. In this section, we're going to start filling up your toolbox with the essential skills and tools you'll actually use on the job.
Let me be crystal clear about this. Every single great automation engineer started out as a great manual tester. You have to learn how to think like a user first, how to be creative, how to try and break things, and how to write down what happened so a developer can actually fix it. This skill, it's the absolute 100% non-negotiable foundation of everything. And to do that job right, you need the right tools, mostly for tracking bugs and keeping your tests organized. Now, you'll see a few different ones out there, but one name is king: Jira. If you decide to learn just one tool to get started, make it Jira. Trust me, it's the industry standard, and it is pretty much everywhere. Okay, next up in your toolkit is API testing. All modern apps are basically a bunch of different services talking to each other behind the scenes. You'll mostly run into REST. It's newer, more flexible, and uses stuff like JSON. SOAP is a bit older and has stricter rules, but it's good to know it exists. Your job here is to basically eavesdrop on those conversations and make sure they're going smoothly. The most important part of testing APIs is learning to speak their language, and that language is status codes. A 200 code basically means we're all good. A 400 means something went wrong on your end, like you sent some bad information. And a 500 means the server itself has a problem. Knowing these codes is like a doctor reading vital signs. It tells you exactly where the problem is. Okay, so you've nailed the fundamentals, you're solid. Now it's time to put the pedal to the metal. This next section is where things get really, really interesting. And let's be honest, where you start making more money. And hey, that's not just me saying it. That's the reality of the industry. Manual testing gets you in the door, for sure. But automation, that's what builds you a career. When you can write scripts that run tests for you, you become a force multiplier. You become so much more valuable to the team. So when you decide to jump into automation, you've got a few options. There are basically 3 main roads you can go down, and each one focuses on a different slice of the software world. Let's break them down. Okay, path number 1, and the most common by far, is web automation. You'll be using tools like Selenium to test websites automatically. It's a fantastic place to start. Path 2 is API automation. Remember those behind-the-scenes conversations? Well, now you're writing code to test them, which is super important. And finally, path 3 is mobile automation. Using a tool like Appium, you'll be testing the apps on the phones we all have in our pockets. You can specialize in one or, eventually, become a master of all 3.
So you've got the theory down, you're building up the skills, but how do you actually prove it to someone who might hire you? This section is all about packaging yourself up to land that first awesome job.
I absolutely love this quote. You can talk all day long about what you can do, but showing someone what you've already done, that's 100 times more powerful. A great portfolio just ends the debate. It's physical proof that you've got the goods. So what does a killer portfolio actually have in it? Well, think of this as your checklist. You need examples of your clean, well-thought-out manual test cases. You need sharp, well-written bug reports. You absolutely need a link to your GitHub so they can see your automation code. And throw in an API collection from a tool like Postman. This isn't just a collection of files. It's the story of your skills. It's what gets you hired. All right, last section. Let's look into the crystal ball. Getting that first job is just the start of the adventure. Let's map out what your career could look like down the road. This is a pretty standard ladder you can expect to climb. You'll probably start out as a junior or a manual tester, just learning the ropes. As you get good with automation, you'll move up to roles like QA engineer. From there, you've got options. You can become a team lead, or a super technical QA architect, or even an SDET, which is like a software developer who lives and breathes testing. And for many, the top of the ladder is management, where you're in charge of the quality strategy for a whole company. And there you have it. We've laid out the entire map for you, from the very first concepts all the way to the top of the career ladder. The path is clear, the steps are totally doable, and the opportunity is huge. The only question left is the one on your screen right now. Where will you begin? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer.